Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Discussion Group. The ambition for this program is to have a thoughtful conversation on a variety of topics. The last couple programs we've done have been rather heavy and serious, so today I thought we'd lighten it up, have some fun, and talk about the profession of waiting tables. I have a panel of professional servers. They work at an upscale waterfront restaurant. I'm a haunt at that, I guess you could say. It's a nice place for me to go, and I'm delighted to have you all here. Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
See you today.
All right, let's do it. Let's get started. You've been waiting tables at this waterfront restaurant. How long have you been there? What do you like about it? What drives you a little crazy?
Oh, you're going to start with me, huh? I've been at a particular restaurant 8 years, 8 or 9 years. I'd have to check. But I've been doing this for 15 years.
Okay.
Pretty much my first job on. So started waiting tables to pay for college and then just never stopped.
But being multiple places, you've seen how things go at one place compared to another.
Different
what
companies,
works.
different places. Went from mainstream chain restaurants to now like a nice corporation. So it's been really good.
Good. We'll get to the crazy stories, but how about you? Same question.
Probably 7 years I've been in the same restaurant.
Okay.
Same idea. Went to school and I left school, went back to school, but I just stuck by it because it's great money. It's a fun atmosphere, and what I like about it most is just I like to socialize. So it's just you meet different people, even though it's touch and go basis.
Right.
You just meet. You never know who you're gonna meet, and you meet a lot of fun people along the way. So.
And that's a good point. I know a lot of my friends and myself. I work at a desk all day.
Yeah.
And
I could never.
I did that too, and it's completely night and day.
I actually admire that you're moving around because when I go in and I see you guys, they're moving around, they're meeting people, they're talking to people, you're having fun. Sure, there's going to be bad nights and so forth, but for the most part, you're moving around. And here's the key thing: I was telling my wife this. When you go home at the end of the day, that's it. There's no report that still needs to be done. There's no spreadsheet that has to be turned in. There's no inquiry, and so. I hope. Am I right?
I don't know. Where were you going with that?
I know. What was your reaction for?
Because I forgot to do one of those reports the other day.
Is that it?
Oh, yeah.
Morgan.
So you have a little bit of paperwork.
A little bit of paperwork. Yeah.
Usually you can leave it at the door.
Okay.
When you leave.
But you're not thinking about I forgot to do my side on such and such.
No. I mean, we have recurring nightmares where we forgot something when in the middle of we're sleeping and we wake up. It's
all
like
the
that.
time.
It's like that stigma or that running joke that, oh my God, I forgot to bring this to table, whatever. But that's really the extent of it. And then, or you hear a phone ringing in a distance and there's no phone ringing.
Or you answer your own phone. You're like, "Hello, thanks for calling. Blah, blah. How can I help?" Oh shoot! I mean, hi.
Yeah,
you're an autopilot.
Yeah, pretty much. Even when you're out and about, it's just I see behind you at the
I was just going to say, how many times do you say behind you to people and they're like,
"Well, I'll see you at the gym."
Yeah. It's like, hey, how's it going? But your social skills, it kind of runs on autopilot when you're just talking to random people.
And what's funny for me is when I see you guys today or at the gym or something, it's like they're in civilian clothing. What's going on?
Where's your apron?
You mean you don't wear that all the time?
People don't recognize
People
us.
will look at you like, how do I know you? You look really familiar. I'm like, oh yes, you know me from work. Oh yeah, you look totally different.
It's usually when you're in the grocery store screaming at your kids and you're like,
oh hey,
this is the cute little kid I tell you about all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you right now.
She's not as nice as she is at the restaurant.
Yes,
Same question to you.
It's all an act.
Yeah.
So I've been at this particular restaurant for 12 and a half years.
She's the vet of the vets.
I'm
Ultimate
the
vet.
longest lasting server there. There's only one person who's been there longer than I have in that particular building. It's a love affair of sorts. It's great. It's convenient. I never really thought I'd be a professional server, ever. I never knew what I wanted to do. I owned a convenience store in Delhi in my early 20s. Sort of thought that was going to be my life, and then we sold it, and I got into the restaurant industry, and when I turned 30, I was like, I don't want to be a professional server for my whole life, and I love it, and I can't imagine anything else. The convenience factor, the flexibility factor, the money. I love to travel, so I couldn't have a 9 to 5 with 2 limited weeks worth of vacation a year.
Yeah, that's true.
So I just travel when I want to travel, sort of, which is a lot some years. But yeah, I love the industry. You love it or you hate it. Yeah. And you have it or you don't.
Yeah.
And what makes it or breaks it is the staff that you work with too. It's if you don't have a cohesion, if everyone does not get along, it's just kind of
if you hate going to your job.
It adds to that. You know, if you hate going to your job because you don't like the people you work with, or you just don't like what you're doing. So it kind of goes hand in hand. So.
And then you have your regulars that you build relationships with.
Yeah.
That, like, I mean, like you, like, we know you through just coming there.
Yeah, even
And
your
there's
daughter,
so
we work with your
many.
daughter as
Yeah,
well.
my daughter works
Yeah.
at the restaurant when she's not at school. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So-
there's a sense of, it's a familiarity. It's a family in a sense when I see you guys
Oh my
interacting
God.
with each other. There's
We're
a
around
warmth
each other
to
more
it.
than our own family
Exactly.
half the time,
Well,
especially in the summer for
right.
us. I mean,
And-
we're working 12, 14 hours a day, especially like the three of us work together often. Like, if you don't like each other, it's
That's
awful.
bad.
drive you bad.
Yeah.
But we butt heads as well at the same time, not in serious.
Professionally, yeah.
Professionally, we do. It's kind of like, okay, like,
You have an
we
understanding
need
that's
space.
unspoken
We need
Yeah.
space
understanding.
sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I think our expectations of one another can sometimes be a little too high, and that's when we might butt heads that little bit more, because like my expectation of Louie is like here when really in actuality it needs to be here, or vice versa, Kristen
Yeah.
and myself, you know,
Yeah.
our expectations of one another because we work together so much,
Right.
you know, but if I'm not 100% mentally there today, she is, and
I was
vice
just gonna
versa.
say that, but then we can pick up on each
We
other's-
pick
Yeah.
up each other's slack, so that way they're, you know, it really is
Yeah.
cohesive.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
like a marriage, you know. You learn about each other. You sense
Give and take.
vibes.
Have to give and take.
Yeah, exactly. So let's say you know you're going in for an evening shift, are you mentally already there? Or you sort of mentally get into the mode like I'm going to be on my feet all night, and I don't
I don't
know.
think that comes into play
Physicality.
anymore.
The
Yeah.
physicality part of getting prepared for it is not nearly as hard as the who am I going to work with? What attitudes are going to be there? What personalities are going to
Interesting.
be
Right.
there? Which one of my coworkers? Which one of my managers?
Yeah.
That plays more of a mental factor for me
Yeah.
than the physicality
Yeah.
part of it. Like I can go in and work a 14-hour day and be fine and not have to mentally prepare for it. But like, okay, well, am I working with A, B, and C today or X, Y, and Z today? And oh my God, what kind of mood are they going to come in with? And you know that can sort of set the tone for the day.
Right.
Of you know. You can either let it get to you or not let it get to you. You have to mentally be like, nope, they're not going to bug me today.
Yeah.
And if they do, I'm going to walk away.
Yeah.
And that's the preparation that I need to make for myself on a daily basis.
Interesting.
Yeah. Definitely too, when you're preparing for, like, especially in the summertime, we have our schedules all written out. We do a lot of the private parties and stuff, and it's like, okay, we got 3 big days coming up, like 2 or 3 doubles in a row. Then
Yeah.
you're kind of like, all right, like pack your bag, make sure you have your snacks, make sure you have your good shoes,
Right.
make sure you have,
You're hydrated.
you know,
you know.
hydrated, and changing shirts if you need to midday. Like those summertime long hot doubles can be brutal. And
Let's-
I don't think people get that, how
Yeah.
hard it can be to work straight through 14 hours a day.
And
No
have to be
break.
on 100% of the time
And have
with
to be-
your guests.
yes.
Yeah.
So with
Always
your
on.
coworkers, you don't always have to be on. Like you can snap at them, or you can be nice and you can laugh
Right.
and you can hope for whatever best is going to come out of it. But with those guests, you have to be on, and they can be very demanding and very needy, and you have to be like, sure, okay, whatever you want,
Yeah.
absolutely,
And
I'll
this-
be right over, I'll be right back. Oh, you wanted blue cheese olives, not regular olives. Oh, you didn't want mayo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People think that they're the
You know.
first and only table there.
Right.
And they don't realize that this is like your 3rd day in a row. It's really hot. You just, you know, they don't care.
Right.
And that's our
And
job.
nor should they, but
No,
there's,
exactly.
there's
And that's
courtesy,
our
though.
job. And that's what we signed up for. And right, we're really good at it.
Yeah, because there's very little room for error too. So
There's
it's-
very little
Yeah,
room for
so
error.
if we mess up, it's like a whole brick falls on us. It's kind of like,
It's like
okay,
a domino effect.
yeah, it's a domino effect for sure. Because one thing leads to another, and then it's just we're trying to be our best, and sometimes we slip up.
Right.
You know,
And if
Well,
you let
that's-
one
I think
it
thing
comes with
set you
territory.
off.
How many tables do you get on a shift on average?
4.
Four,
Four.
usually 4 table
4
sections.
tables.
Is that so? Would 5 be unmanageable?
I've done
No.
6 or 7.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tuesday we were
Depends on the
rocking
person.
like
Yeah.
6.
6 or 7.
And it depends, again.
It depends on who you're
who
with.
you're working with.
Because
If
you
you're
have
working with a
strong
good
servers,
team.
and you have servers who get weeded, which is a term where you get very busy.
Right, you're in the
For those who
weeds.
don't know, you're in the weeds, and their people get very frazzled very quickly, and they can't handle it. So then we have to pick up their slack, or just help them out a little bit,
Yeah.
which is fine, while we have our own workload going on at the same time.
Do they stagger when you get tables?
They're supposed to.
Again, it depends on who you're
Depends
working
on who
with.
you're working with.
Sometimes we just get all at once, or it's
You almost have to take it as a compliment when like your manager's like, "Oh, I triple sat you," and you're like,
damn.
"Cool, I got this."
Yeah.
And you know,
But they do that because they know you can handle it.
Right.
But it's just like
Yeah.
Okay.
And usually you do.
Yeah, it's like tunnel vision at that point. You
Yep.
just do it, get it done.
Then it's autopilot.
Yeah,
Boom,
it's
boom, boom.
autopilot.
How many times, say, in an evening shift, will a table flip? On average?
Like Friday, Saturday, maybe 3 times, 4 times in the
4 times.
summer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
16 tables.
If you don't have a camper.
Yeah, if you don't have
Right.
a camper.
And that's a whole nother story.
We can
That's a
talk
whole
about
nother
campers
breed.
in a little while.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
variables involved.
Yeah.
So three times maybe average. 4
Yeah.
if it's a good night.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the summer, yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
So when you first arrive, do you have pre-work that you have to do, and then you get your you oversee
Yeah,
the
we
tables
make
with
sure
us?
we're set up for success. We have like app plates, ice, garnishes.
Mise en place is a
Bread.
term that we use. It means mise
What
en
is
place.
it?
Mise en place.
Mise en place. Oh,
Yeah,
mise-
it means everything in its place, right? Everything in its place.
Right.
So anything that you need to get during your shift should be where it needs to be.
Right.
So if you go to grab something,
It's there.
It should
it's
just be
there.
there.
If you go to grab the simplest thing and it's not there, that like trickle effect that Louis was talking about, you're tumbling.
Oh,
like
yeah.
there's
Okay.
like you go to grab an underliner for a coffee cup and it's not there. You have to stop everything that you're doing, go in the kitchen, get what you
Yeah.
need, and like seconds add up in,
Yeah.
in
Right.
the
'Cause
restaurant.
then your drink's already
Steps
dying and down.
add
Your
up.
bartender made your drink. Your drink's already waiting. Table's been waiting for bread even longer. It's kind of
Right.
like you have these steps placed in your head of you have to be 2 steps ahead at all times,
All the
especially
time.
when it's busy. So if one thing is not there that you do need, you have to go do that, and it just creates a whole domino effect that it puts you behind. And it's all about guest perception. To them, 1 minute is like 10
I was gonna
minutes.
say,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perception versus reality.
An extra 30 seconds that they had to wait for whatever they needed is like an extra 10 minutes to them, and they're looking around, and it's just like it's
Which is money off your tip at the end of
Right.
the day.
Yeah.
Because everything falls on us.
Right.
If the food's not good, it's our fault. If they weren't greeted by a server, it's our fault. If their drinks aren't good, it's our fault. So
Because you're the point
Yeah.
of
'Cause
contact.
we're
Yeah.
the
Well, also
messenger.
the remedy, if something goes wrong with the food, like they, go talk to them, go smooch them over,
Right.
Sometimes the manager goes over, but it's really us because we start and
We have
finish
the
the table.
rapport.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have the rapport with them. So,
Well,
yeah.
there's a lot. There's a lot
There's a
going
lot.
on.
it's
Wow.
so much more than people realize, which is
Yeah.
kind of awesome that you're doing this because
Oh, God.
people don't understand. They're like, "Oh, you're a server." Like, how many times have you guys had people say, "Oh, what's your real job?" Or
Oh yeah, look,
"When
what are you
when are
doing?
you going to get a real job? Are you going to school for a job?" I'm like,
Well,
"This is my real
No,
job,
it's
and
a profession.
hard."
It is a profession. You guys work at a very nice restaurant. It's my favorite place. I grew up in and around, my mother was a server, a professional server. I bus tables in Newport in the summer. And
Yeah.
I've been in and around it. And you really, if you're on the outside and you don't know this, there is so much, I can totally hear, and I haven't done it since my 20s.
Yeah, but you have an
guys,
idea. It's all the same.
but it's
Yeah.
incredible. There's challenges, and and to be like you were saying, to be on like that on the days when you're not feeling well or everything's going to hell with the shift. It's it's a challenge, and not just that. I think about the physical. I know you guys are young, but I think about the physical toil on it. Like I look at you guys running around. I'm like, I don't know if I'd be able to do that.
What you're not seeing is my left knee cracking or hurting
Yeah.
after like 8 hour
Or it's like
Or your hands are like
doing
this.
yoga
Yeah.
because my back hurts so bad. Carpal tunnel in your
Yeah.
wrist from the trays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first day after your work week, you're just like you wake up and your hands are like you're like massaging them and trying to make them
Oh,
feel
yeah.
better, and then you have 2 days off, and then you go right back to doing it all over again for another 40-ish hours a week, and then the same thing next week. Your hands are like that. And you just-
I can imagine though, if you get a cut or something and
Oof.
you're working constantly, it's gonna have trouble healing.
Well, and sometimes you don't know you have a cut till you grab a lemon, and that stinks.
Yeah.
and then you're like,
true.
It's like, oh, I didn't know that was there.
Not cutting
Throw
lemons
it away,
today.
yeah. Get another one.
So we're in the winter, so it tends to slow down. I know the holidays will probably pick up a little bit, and let's talk about the summertime. The summertime at the establishment that you guys work at is crazy.
Oh
Crazy.
yeah.
And you have
Madhouse.
3 dining rooms essentially.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a whole lot of servers.
And there's always, you have to. I tell people when they're going, I'm like, no, you need to make a reservation. No, no, we're just gonna show up. No,
What do
And
you
then,
mean a kid just
and
show
then
up
yell
on a
at them when
Saturday
they
night?
say, "What do you mean it's an hour wait? Why do I have to wait?"
I do it now. I said it doesn't matter what season it is. Make a reservation because you can't tell on any given night what's
Yeah.
going to happen.
And we can't
It's
either.
So true. It was so busy on Tuesday night. This
So
past
random.
Tuesday, it was cold, it was crummy, the weather wasn't great, and it was nutty. Nutty. It was a summer night.
And there must be, that's interesting because there's really no way to gauge.
There isn't.
Never.
You don't know what's
There's
going
no
on
way of
that's
knowing,
going
because
to.
we could have like very little reservations in the books, but we get a ton of walk-ins for whatever reason.
Yep.
There's just no way of, or we have a ton of the reservations and no walk-ins, so it's kind of like.
I mean, you
There's
can
no
start
balance.
to learn, like,
Yeah.
we're a seasonal restaurant, we're on the water, so if it's a nice day, like, boom,
know,
you're busy,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know that, and if it's raining, you might be a little slow, but you never know, it could be a toss-up that day. You never know.
So in the summer, when it's crazy busy, and that's probably the season where you're making the most money.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
And so you kind of have to kill yourself. I go in there and I'll sit at the bar, or actually I try to sit out in the patio because I like to
Gorgeous.
read. But I mean, the go, and there's waiters that are seasonal that come in, other servers that you see from time to time, and they're probably not used to the process as quick. I don't know. Let's talk about that. I mean, the summers, do you just sort of have to gear up and like, okay, we're gonna?
We kind of
That's a mental
have to. We kind of have to
preparation.
bite our tongue a lot of times because there's a lot of new seasonal servers who don't have that sense of urgency that we have. Like, there's just no pep in their step, and we're like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Go!"
Like,
Get
it's
out-
going to go from, like, 0 to 100
Yeah.
in 2 seconds, and you need to be ready.
and they
like,
get fra-
yeah,
and you
well,
just see them frazzled, don't know what to do. It's just like it's you have to kind of coach them through, I guess, or just
Right.
And the good ones catch on, and the bad ones don't stay.
yeah.
Or they stay.
Or they stay and make everybody's life
They linger.
really hard.
like a bad penny that keeps surfacing.
And that's the funny thing about seasonal restaurant too, because like we have our like summertime people and we have our vets. So sometimes it's always like the vets versus the summertime people.
Interesting.
And then once in a while, like they kind of become like they transition into being a vet. So it's like feels like it's always like two different staffs against each other. So we as the longer term vets have to try to bridge that gap.
Right.
And remind ourselves
Ride
that
through
we
it.
need to
Yeah.
work together as a team and get everybody
To
to work
guide.
together as a team. Yeah.
And that brings up, so there's different types of servers. We all have different personalities. And how you've worked with many people. Probably some people approach a table in a different way, and you approach it in your own way. Are you just more yourself, pretty much, just amplified a little bit?
Everyone has a server voice.
Customer service
Yeah,
voice.
that's
Hi,
my
I'm
out.
Kristen.
Customer
I'll be
service
taking
voice,
care of
yeah.
you today. That's not really.
And
how
when you're
I
on
talk.
autopilot, it kind of just comes out, like it comes out naturally. I know that's kind of
I know,
defeats
because
the
you've done
purpose
it
of
so
it.
much.
But it's just like when you're on autopilot, like hi, you're very like you're more
Higher pitch.
higher pitch. Or
Lovely.
but I can just enjoy. My normal tone, my normal sarcasm. I love it when I can
Yes.
just be that across the board with all my tables,
I,
and they appreciate it too.
Right, because to you, it's coming out authentic.
Yeah.
And that's important to as a guest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Instead of that phony, like people can tell when it's phony, or it's super phony, or if you're just being,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
a normal person, a genuine person.
yeah, there's definitely like technical servers and personality servers.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm a personality server all day long.
Absolutely.
Like Morgan will go by my table and be like, "Oh, you didn't do this," or like, "Hey, that table needs water." I'm like, "Yeah, but they love me. Like it's fine. I'm gonna get tipped really well either way because I,
Right.
made
It's
them
a strength.
laugh."
Yeah.
And then there's other servers who are great technical servers, and people walk in the door and everything they need is always right there, and they
Interesting.
love
Zero
that kind of
personality.
service. Yeah, and then there's sales. We have sales servers who are there to upsell you on everything and get every
Right.
dollar
Right.
out of your pocket they can,
Yeah.
without you knowing that they're doing it. So there's
So
all
there's
kinds of different
different-
techniques.
Well, we have a clip. This is a funny piece. I was looking at different clips that we could have for today's show, and this is from Britain. This is from the UK. This is, I think they're Mitchell and Webb, they're called. And this is the incredibly posh waiter. And
Oh boy.
this is funny. He's the incredibly posh waiter. Let's take a look.
This is nice, Henry.
Isn't it? I think it's amazing the way restaurants have changed in this country over the last 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, what with gastropubs and all bar one, things like that, it's just so easy now.
Are you ready to order, sir?
Sorry, mate, haven't really had a look yet, but can we order a bottle of the House Red to be going on with?
Mate, the House Red. To be going on with? Where the hell do you think you are? Do you even know what the House Red is? Are you even an expert on wine? Because if you're not, I don't know on what basis you venture to order it.
Sorry, what happened to the friendly Australian girl that used to work here?
She's gone, sir. They've all gone. And we're back. The incredibly posh people who are still unaccountably waiters. I'm afraid we've changed the rules.
Well, we'd still like to order.
I saw you in here last week. I saw you drinking your soup. I saw you blowing and slurping and dunking your bread. We were watching you on the monitors in the kitchen. And we all thought you were a dick.
I can't believe you talk to paying customers like this.
And I can't believe you're continuing with this. You know that I can destroy you. Observe my trolley. These are my weapons. I'm recommending the consommé, which, as every schoolboy knows, provided your school wasn't free, is to be consumed only using a vichyssoise fork. It's all in the wrist. And for sir, crab, which you're supposed to tackle using this. Make sure you kill it right, or it's poisonous. Off you go. You're not allowed to swap. My, it's like watching the Generation Game. I expect that's a reference you get.
Right, I've had just about enough of you talking to me like this. I'd like to see the manager.
How can I possibly introduce you to the manager? You haven't shaved, you're not wearing a tie, and you hold your ladle like a pen. Now take your gaudy but gratifyingly mute girlfriend and get out.
That's good. It's like what everybody wishes they could
fine,
say.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've never seen that before, but I stumbled upon that and I'm like, this is funny.
That was a good clip. Yeah, that was very funny.
British humor. Too.
Things you wish you could say.
Yeah. Well,
On a given
that's a
occasion.
whole. People write books about that.
Let's
That's
talk
what
about
the
that.
bar's for after work.
Yeah. If you ever go to the bar and you see a group of servers that you can tell
Oh,
are
it's
from
the
a
funnest.
restaurant,
Yeah.
just
Oh my
listen.
God.
Just
Sit
sit and
next to 'em
listen.
and eavesdrop.
It's hilarious.
It's
gotta
a
be
good
a
events
time.
and watering hole.
Because you guys are in this industry and you know it all, that's got to be fun. Which brings to the next question. When you're out having dinner, does that make you a better patron? Being in the business.
I'm very critical on
I
service.
was gonna say it could be better or worse.
because like I said, that sense of urgency is big to me. If I'm there waiting like 10 minutes just to get a drink, it's just like, all right, it gets under my skin. I don't know, and I hate that I'm that way, but I don't know. When people come to where we work, they expect great service, so
Yeah.
it's kind of I expect the same in return.
Yeah.
So I only eat at certain places now because of that. Like I won't go to a chain restaurant. I'll go to
Yeah, it does make you kind of a snob.
yeah, a little
It
I
bit.
think
does.
a lot for me, it's the type of restaurant that I'm in. Am I in a diner? Am I in
Right,
a
that's
restaurant?
true,
yeah.
So that is it super busy and they're understaffed. So there's so many factors that play into what my expectations are of where I'm at and what the service is.
Yeah.
Um,
I find myself looking around too, like maybe if they are overstaffed or if like I can sense like what's going on, like
Yeah.
if I see people running around, I know they're busy, they are understaffed probably. So
right. So it definitely
I'd
makes
say-
you hyper aware.
absolutely, yeah,
But you tip well. We tip well.
yeah,
Yeah.
Most
well,
of the time. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
that's,
but
Most people.
yeah.
but you live off your tips. What do you guys do? It's the age old when Europeans don't tip.
No.
Do you still run into that problem where they come to the States and they don't really catch on to that, or is
Yes.
it pretty well known now?
It's generally 10% across the board when someone from Europe visiting or
Yeah.
anywhere not from America. But that's just how their culture is. But I mean, even when I go overseas, like I tip 20% regardless.
Yeah.
It's just because of this how we
They're
are.
paid a living
They're
wage.
paid,
Right.
they're paid like
Right.
16, 17 bucks an hour.
Yeah.
And then they get so they get 10% tips, but
But
Right.
still the server in you, like,
Yeah.
it's on the bill, but like, let's just give
Yeah.
You
them a
try.
bit
You
more.
try not to, because there's so many times where I've been like stereotype someone and be like, oh, well, they have a British accent, I'm not getting tipped, and then they tip you really well, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I feel really bad
feel
about
bad.
it,
Yeah.
you know.
You just never
You
know.
know, but you really,
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
surprise you sometimes, and then the people that you can tell are like, have money and are wealthy, and sometimes even come in all the time, and they don't tip you well, and you're like,
What's that all about?
really?
yeah.
Like,
How could they?
Well,
and then
It's fun-
continue to go to the same restaurant. And
Yeah.
You're like, nobody wants to wait on you anymore. Like, take it in,
Yeah.
Well, to me, is always 20%. 20% is always my standard.
Yeah.
So
That's the standard. Yeah.
Standard
Yeah.
is 20, and if it's great service, it's
Right.
more. Mm.
Right. Let's talk about different types of guests, patrons. Let's talk about campers. Do you have any techniques with campers? So campers.
I was just
why
gonna
don't
say,
you-
explain campers.
Why don't you guys tell them what a camper is?
A camper is someone who just hangs out at your table longer than they should have.
Way.
The bills
Way
were paid,
longer.
their
Yeah.
drinks are empty, they
We're-
have no more water.
We're talking 2.5 to 3 hours.
the restaurant's
plus.
closed.
Yeah.
Or it's super
The whole
busy.
place,
The
yeah.
restaurant's super busy, and you're sitting at a window table, which
Right.
everybody wants.
And you miss a good
Yeah.
2 turns on that table because of them.
So
And
what do
then they're
you?
drinking water and having a burger.
And then don't tip you well.
Is there anything you can do about it, or that
No.
you're just really at
No.
their mercy?
There's techniques. We have techniques. You know, you can.
It's like little things. Not. I mean, yeah, they still get good service, but we kind of fall into the background a little bit. I mean, that's what I do. I just kind of like just don't give them an opportunity to.
Right.
I guess not order
Ordering
things,
meals,
but I drop the bill right away, and I just go, oh, can I take this? And every 5-10 minutes, I'll go, are you all set?
Yeah,
Are you
I was
all
gonna
set?
say,
Are
I
you all
stay
set?"
more, like,
just to
can I
kind
take
of
that?
nudge them in that direction, and sometimes it takes a good while for them to actually get there.
Right.
But that's one technique I do use.
Yeah.
I clear everything off other than their water glasses or if there's
Yeah.
a wine or beer or whatever cocktail they're having. Just clear every unnecessary
Hint,
item
hint.
off their table.
Yeah.
Exactly, hint, hint. And then if it's been far too long and all of those glasses are empty, then you just start picking those glasses off one by one.
Right.
I mean, it's usually after the first couple hints, they'll start to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, once in a while, you'll get someone that's like not moving and there's nothing you do and you just wait. But if you start to do these little things, people are like, oh, we should go.
We
Or,
should go.
You know, sometimes it's like you're sitting, so there's like 3 tables in a row, and there's like a table in the middle, and you need to build a bigger table out of that. So
Oh.
once in a while, a manager will have to be like, can we buy you a drink if you sit at the bar? Because we really need this table. So you can kind of
Well, do you think people know, or they're just oblivious?
oblivious.
Oblivious.
Completely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
They get
I mean, I
like
would
they're
hope
there
they
with
do.
an old friend. They're catching up.
Oh,
That
that's
they
the
haven't
age old.
seen. It's like
Someone sits down and says, "We haven't seen each other in years." You're like, "Shh."
It's been a half an hour and you
It's
haven't
half
ordered a
my
drink
day's
yet.
worth of tips. Gone. We get that all the time. We haven't
Yeah.
seen each other in years. This is a great place to catch up.
Yeah, there's a group of ladies
Yeah,
who
so Starbucks,
they
go
only
there.
meet every year. Exactly.
how about a line in your living room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
You can take the wine to go. I can wrap it for you.
What are some? You know, when there are different types of patrons, I'm sure there's the very fussy type about their food. I guess it's just being as nice as you can and
Kill 'em
taking
with
it back to the
kindness.
kitchen.
Yeah.
If, when you work with the kitchen, do you ever come back and they said it's blah blah blah? Does the kitchen kind of go, "Are you kidding me?" Like I remember I saw Big Night. That was I think Tony Shalhoub's in that, and they were in the kitchen and the server came back in and they're like, "Oh, they want something like the." Who is this? You go out there. Let me show me out there. Who is this? Like, no.
It's so true. It's so true.
And some of
They
them
ordered
are-
it medium rare. This is medium rare. And I'm like, that's where perception is reality comes in. It's like, it's not their medium rare, and they're paying the bill, and they're paying your bills, and they're paying my
Right,
bills. So we're
yeah.
gonna cook it the way they want it.
They're paying
But,
$300 for a fillet, then they're
yeah,
gonna get it. How they
cooks
want it
definitely
cooked.
tend to get a little,
It's
and
a
they're
pride thing,
defensive.
too.
It's exactly, it's their craft,
Yeah.
and they're good at it. And when someone says something's not
Right.
cooked correctly, and they take it personal.
There's got to be. I mean, even outside of the restaurants, there's some people who are just never going to be satisfied.
Of
so
course. That's a small
Yes.
percentage. That's like 0.5% of the people we get that you'll
Yeah.
never be able to please.
But those people can ruin
Yeah,
your night.
absolutely.
Like how many have you guys ever had somebody make you cry?
No.
I've
And I remember like it was like last week.
I think it was once or twice
I will
in my
never
career.
give someone that power.
Sometimes you get so frustrated though
Oh,
that
you
you
do.
just you can't.
Mm-hmm.
It's happened to me a couple times.
all right, let's lighten it back up.
Yeah.
Any funny stories you want to share? Anything that we could put out to nothing to. Let's keep it PG-13.
Oh, you're putting us on the
Funny
spot.
stories. Oh my god.
Well, we all work private events together too.
So they call them PDRs, right?
PDR, private
So-
dining reservation.
Okay.
So we work a lot of weddings.
Oh yeah.
And I'll tell you, we've seen some doozies
Yeah.
in the weddings.
There's
That's a whole nother.
Beautiful bouquet we had a few years back. It was, I think, a Labor Day weekend wedding. They knew somebody who knew somebody, and they got a great venue for a great cost. And they had royal blue fabric flowers from Michaels. Kristen and I worked that event
Yes,
together.
we did.
It was those were memorable flowers.
It's one of those.
It was like
It was one of those
1970s.
brides that no matter what you do, you're not going to please her. So.
Yeah.
The chips were too crunchy. The bun was too toasted. The lobster was too lobstery. It was
It's your
one of
wedding
those.
day. Why are you
Flowers
so
were very
focused
blue.
on that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's too funny.
And we still laugh. They come in once in a while from time to time. They are not the bride and groom that are say, "Hey, Morgan, hey, Kristen, how are you?" They're like, "Oh, they're still here."
It's great. You know, you have your regulars and you meet people and
Yeah.
become part of their family.
What about some of the more difficult, like someone's had too much to drink and you have to cut them off? Have you had to do that?
There was one table that had the first table of the day, 11:30 a.m. sat on the patio, and I came in at 3:30, and they were still there, and they had like 3 bottles of wine, so then I had to take over the table, and they were obliterated, and I had to cut them off because I just couldn't serve them anymore. I was just feeding them water, getting them food, and they were like, "We're not even driving. This is so effed up." Da da da. And I was like, "Well, you're clearly drunk, so I can call you Uber." And then like, "No," and they stormed off. Like they paid the bill and just like stormed off.
It's not an easy position to make.
It's not, because it makes you feel
No, that's
awkward
probably
because they raise their voice and they yell at you, and now everyone around you is looking at you.
But
It's like,
and I've had managers say this to us before, that it's the one time that it's like a solid no. There's no
Yeah.
wiggle room. It's the one time you can be like, say no to somebody.
because it's your job on
That's
the line. You could lose you can't serve without a tip certification. It's not that difficult to get, but if someone gets into an accident, you can get arrested, you get a lawsuit, and you can lose your job.
Right, and it's not like you were.
Sorry for getting all serious
are you
again.
trained to? I mean, or is it just? Is there
You just
training to know when?
Yeah, you go through a certified tip certification.
Yeah.
You go through
just to
courses
recognize the signs
every
of
3 years.
someone slurring, how they're walking. They're just
Okay.
like looking for clues that they are, under the influence.
Yeah.
But there's also a fine line between, hey, have that extra glass of wine and get your check average up a little higher so I get a little better tip, and then be like, oh shoot, maybe I shouldn't have served them that extra glass of wine. Like, it's a fine line. Like,
And that's why
your
I have
husband's driving, right?
Well, that's why I have on my tables in that sense, where it's like, it's Saturday, we have Uber now, so yeah, have another cocktail, we'll just Uber you home, And if you live close by, I'll drive you home myself. Which I really won't, but I just, it sounds good. But yeah, there you go.
Oh, I drive a Yugo. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I drive a smart car, and there's 4 of you, so.
It's not going to work out. Well, the best thing, I think, is working at a place when you know each other so well, is the behind the scenes before you open or after you've closed. It must sometimes be fun because you're amongst your coworkers and you have a camaraderie. Sometimes some of us are happy to see when you've posted just a cute little video of dancing in the restaurant when no one's around. That's got to be nice to be at a place where you have that and you can kind of be a little goofy.
Yeah.
I think there's so many of us who have been there for such a long time that we do have that sort of family dynamic that it is, you get there and you're starting to set up and you're just like bopping around and chit-chatting and you're having, real conversations, like whole hard conversations, and you have like stupid, goofy prank conversations.
Yeah.
So
I love the people I work
Yeah,
with.
and it's even before you go and you pull up, you know who drives what, and it's just like, oh, good, Morgan's working, Kristen's working, Jamie's working, whoever. It's just like, all right, it's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be a good day. So you go in before even walking in, you know who's gonna be there.
I'm usually like the comic relief. I try to show up late, but when I show up, everyone's like, oh!
Which happened like twice. And it's like all over Facebook that she's on time.
Oh, Kristen was on time today. But I always say to the new servers, I'm like, yeah, but I get more done in the 5 minutes than you did the whole 15 minutes you were here before me.
And then there's that too. Like, how productive are you?
No, but we do. We have a blast.
Yeah,
we have
do.
a blast.
We have a great time.
We
That's
love our
great.
job. We love our guests. We love each other, and it's so much
We
fun.
love the restaurant that we work at.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It shows. It really does.
Yeah, the view alone is just like, I love the ocean, so it's like, it's so serene sometimes, especially on a gorgeous day, you just drive down, it's just like, even during the sunsets, it's like, you just get that moment of silence where everyone like goes take pictures, and it's just like, it's like calm, and I love that moment every night.
And even just driving, right after a fresh fall and snow, like as much as I dislike the snow, it is one of the most picture perfect New England photos of everything covered with that like nice sheen of fresh clean snow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just you can be proud to say that you work,
Yeah.
where you do, and you're in a well-established restaurant that's hopefully people enjoy. So
Well,
some people come back all the time.
all the time. I just feel.
Who's that creep at the bar? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sure they're always like, wow. I've gotten that. Like, I've had people who like, we were here 3 weeks ago and we saw you. We wanted to come over and say hello, and I was like, all right.
All the staff
why
was
didn't
saying
you?
hi to you. It was so weird. Like, do
So
you
you
work
mind
here?
your business, you're reading your book, you talk to some of us, and like, you go about your day.
It's a nice balance. No,
Yeah.
I just grew up in and around that sort of atmosphere. So for me, it's a nice place after a work day
Yeah.
to sort of unwind
Have
and
a
escape.
drink.
And you guys are warm, inviting people.
And I
so
love
it's
that
nice.
you feel like that. Like,
Oh,
I
thanks.
love, like, that means we're doing
Yeah.
our job right, and like,
Well, you guys are.
you know.
The alcohol helps too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff. You have a Jeff.
Well, any final thoughts? Any last thing before we say goodbye?
Tip your server very well, because it's not an easy job.
Yeah. Do not camp out.
Any,
What's your
any
word
thoughts you
of
can
advice
talk
to
the
your
camera?
fellow
Just
patrons?
be kind.
Be
You have
kind,
no
yeah.
idea what kind of day your servers had.
Yeah.
This is true.
Especially on a hot summer day.
Then there's that.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you all for being here. It was a pleasure. It was a delight.
Jeff.
Thanks
You're
for having
welcome.
us.
Thank you. And thank you for watching. We hope you join us next time when we hope our guest will be singer Rick Astley. Cheers.
Good luck.